This is to show installation of Node-RED on the left-hand Raspberry Pi. I've got two Raspberry Pis here. You can see this Raspberry Pi's dimensions are around here. The one that's working already is this one here on the right-hand side. Over here I've got my ISY control panel, and here I've got my Android phone. I'm just going to show you it working on here first. So I've got my I've got a variable set up here, a static variable. That should flip to 1 when I press a button over here, which I've got that basically just increments a variable. Then because the ISY is talking with the Raspberry Pi using Node-RED, and I'll get into this all later, but basically I'm going to increment the variable. This is going to notice it. There's an if statement I've got in here now. If it's 1, it's going to play this one, and if it's 2, it's going to delay 5 seconds and play this one. So it's going to play this, and then it's going to loop through and then play this. I'm going to increment that variable now. We'll see what happens. Here you can see it went to 1. Here you can see, you can hear it play, and then waits 5 seconds, and oh, sorry, that was 1. So there's the 1 statement. And then if I press this twice fast, I can get the increment counter over here up to 2. And then we can watch it play both of these. So it plays this, delays 5 seconds, then comes through, plays this, and then this. And somehow I think it's, oh, there it goes.
Dryer is on.
There, you can hear the second one. So that's all working. This is my Android phone, as I said, so I'll just leave it basically running on the screen. One thing I wanted to show was, if I come here and drop down, you can see on the working one it's version 18.3, and I've got this manage palette. This is a fresh Raspberry Pi. It is running 0.15.3. This is 18.3. You can see, I don't know if it's a setup somewhere or something, but it's missing the manage palette, and that seems to go away with reinstalling. So I'm not wasting a lot of time looking for that. I'm just gonna do the install. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring up a terminal, and I'm going to type in, you got that? update-node.js-and-node-red. I hit enter. And I say yes. I enter my sudo password. Hit enter. And it says errors will be logged to here. So I'm going to open another window. And basically this is just a trick to watch the log. So it's tail -f, and then I'm going to -install .log, and I can then watch the log as this is happening. So you can see it's on its second step here. This takes about half an hour to go through the process, so I'm going to pause at one point here, but we'll let it go. Going a little bit more here, pausing again. You can watch the timestamp up here too. Just while this is going, I'll just go through a couple things here. So basically, if you want to install other objects, object sets, you go to Manage Palette, and then there's an Install tab here, and I'll show this a bit later, but basically you can just type in search criteria here like ISY, and then you'll see that, and you can see it's installed. On the other one I'll be able to hit the install button, which then once that's done, you come to the bottom area here, and it adds some new objects which can be then dragged over onto the palette over here. There's different flows. You can have different flows. There's one tab and there's another tab. I have nothing in there yet, but you can copy things from here to there. Basically what happens is if you drag, like say this ISY device up to here, and then basically it's got an input and an output. So we're going to basically take the input from the ISY, and then it's going to wire that output to anything that you want to go straight to running a Python script. These are basically Python scripts. I'll show you those in a minute, and they're running basically just playing an MP3 file, and then I've got a speaker hooked up to my Raspberry Pi, like an MP3 what do you call it, like just a battery operated speaker, Bluetooth speaker, and it's not using Bluetooth, it's just wired straight up to your headphone jack. If I double click on, so basically you take this, drag it, and then you double click on these things to configure them, and here you can see that I've got the controller, and at first I had to go in here to set my IP address, my username, password. At that point, what happens is you then get, I think it's a blue thingy up here, and the deploy button, you have to hit it, and then basically that activates this. So what happens here is you then drag these lines. So I'm going to take and drag between there and here. I'm not going to do it right now, I'll do that over here later. Then when you double click this, I had to play around a bit with this, but basically this is a switch node. So I'm editing the switch node, switching in programming, so switch based on 1, based on 2, the variables. So this again I had to mess around with. I'm not sure where it was documented, but I saw somewhere that payload is a common sub of message in these objects. So basically if I come down here, I was messing around with these two, but basically I ended up with message payload, the word payload I typed in. Then if it equals, so you have a bunch of different booleans here. If it equals exactly, and the number, in this case, you can match it to a string or whatever, but in this case it was 1 and 2. Okay, so that's what it's passing from here, basically coming from the ISY up into here, and then based on these, then I was playing this one, and I thought, well, I'll just throw in a delay, see what happens. So I threw in a delay, and then I played a couple of files tagged onto the end of each other, and it does do that. So you can have a bell first and then announce your message, that sort of thing. Trying to think what else. So I'm going to pause for a few minutes here, and that just kind of gives you a quick overview. Very cool stuff going on here. Very nice, easy way to do the programming once you figure it out. Again, if I was going to take this and make a copy, I would just do a Control-C and a Control-V. There you can see I just created a new one, and now I can drag that around. And if I wanted to, run another node, I could, probably come from here. So you can do, based on 2, it's now going to run this and this type of thing. So I'll get rid of that again. I just hit the delete key once you've got them selected. Yeah, I think that's it. We're up to a little bit more here. Again, I'll pause and come back. Just a little bit of a funny going on here. Partway through the install, you've got to type in your sudo password again. You sit there and watch, and nothing happens. So then you carry on. And here you can see it carrying on again. Gonna pause again. It's just carrying on with the installation here. Here we're carrying on a bit. I'm gonna pop in and out here a couple times. It looks like it's asking for this password again. Oh yeah, it did ask me for, I did type my password in here again. I think that was the last time I had to do it. It was just a couple times. Carrying on. I think it should be pretty soon. You can see it's adding packages. So the Node-RED core is now installed. Gonna add some shortcut menus and some scripts, and then we'll be done. Here is 0.18.3 and there's 0.18.3. Looks like it's asking for the password once more here. And it looks like we're done. So now we can see, you can now start Node-RED with the command Node-RED start, or use the icon under, and that's what we're going to do right now. Then point your browser to localhost port 1880. So just like that, localhost :80 or http://127.0.0.1:1880, or from another machine. You can just type in the IP address of your Raspberry Pi :1880 in the browser. So here we're ready to actually start Node-RED. So we come under programming, and there's a Node-RED which we then run. And a little tricky thing here, just try this again. Yeah, right there. So if I basically close out of that, run this again, it comes up with this little wee window, and I don't know if that's just my machine or what, but so it's asking for the sudo password. So type that in. Starts as a system daemon. And after a minute or so, we can now go to the browser. And as it said, localhost :1880. Hit enter. And a blank screen comes up. First time ran. As I stated before, we're going to go into here, and now we've got this manage palette. I can now pick the install tab, and I can search for ISY. Actually, before I do that, I just want to show you that it's not there. There's no ISY related nodes here. So I'm going to go back in, install, search for ISY, and there's the contribution ISY, and this time we can hit the install, and we're going to click install, and we're back. And I'm going to close this window. Now if I drag down, you can see we've got, where is it? Here we go. So I'm going to try and just match up with what I've got over here. So I'm going to build it for you. So I'm going to take this and drag it over here. And you can see that it's not ready yet. So I'm going to double click it. And I'm going to add a new controller. And I'm going to click the edit here. And I'm just going to say FJ ISY, and here I'll put my IP address in. I'm going to type my username and password, so admin. Click add. Click done. And I'm going to try clicking the deploy, see what happens here. Let's drag a variable in here. That would make more sense. Double click. There we go. And if we find the SMP3 dryer, populates by itself, we say done. Say deploy that. See what happens here. So this is waiting. I think it's, yeah, there it's connected. This I'm going to delete. I don't know that I needed it, but seems to be working now. So there we've got the dryer variable, and then I'm going to take look for a switch. Where was that guy? Let's search for it in here. Switch. So I just typed SW. There's the switch. We'll drag it into here. Double click on it. And we'll double click on here. So I just gave it a name. If X, then play Y, some silly name. So we got message payload. I guess that is the default. I don't know how I messed up before, but basically we're gonna, if it's a number 1, then do one thing, and then if you drag down, you can add another one. And if it's 2, do something else. We say done, and what happens is here it puts 2 nodes, one for 1 and one for 2, so you can then drag to various spots. And now we're going to take this, I'm going to hover over there, drag it into here, and that's how you connect them. Now I'm going to cancel here so we can see what else we have. So basically I'm just now going to run a program, which you're probably keen on knowing. So okay, so at this point I'm going to search for the exec. I know it's an EX here, so I'm going to take that exec, drag it out, double click on it, and if I double click on here I can see edit exec node, so I know that's what I was doing. Basically I'm just, I think I have to type it in here on program, and I'll show you that Python code. Actually I'll do that right now before I forget. So I come under /batch into my menu here, and then I'm going to take a look at I've got a bunch of different ones, but each one runs a different, basically just a different MP3 file. So play dryer is done right there. I'm going to right click Python 3, pulls it into the editor, and you can see there basically all I'm doing is importing the OS, and then I run os.system, and I'm using this OMX player. I can't remember, you might have to apt get the OMX player, and basically then space and then what file you want it to play. So back here, let's see now, I think that's it. So if I say done here, it's starting to look like this guy over here. I cancel there. Basically I'm just going to take that so it looks the same. I'm going to drag it there, take a node, drag it there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, and I should basically deploy this, which then basically takes this and saves it, runs it into a program which is now running. So now if I take this and change it to 1 and hit enter and go back to here fast,
Dryer is on.
you can see there's an error or two here, so I don't know if we can see something in here. I'll probably clear this out before I try it again. Do I have this typed right? Python 3/batch. Oh, I guess I could do this. Actually, I'm going to take this, delete it, and I'll run this into the if1 code. I'm going to deploy that again. And then I'm going to basically increment that variable. You can watch it over here, but I've got thingy here for it. So you can see it go to 1. And there's some kind of an error going on here where it plays it over here. Yeah, I don't have any of the code in here yet. So basically, I'm just going to copy the code from here, from that batch directory, into here, along with the MP3 files, which are, let's see here, Buddy Izzy, and I've got all the Python files, and then I've got an MP3 subfolder with all these goodies that the other one is running. So I'm just going to drag those over into here. Basically, if I go into here, into the batch, you can see that I don't have any of that in here. I don't have the Buzzy Izzy in here. So I'll pause and do that. Okay, everything's been copied over here now. If I go to batch directory, I've got a Buddy Izzy, and I've got all my Python files in there. Again, dryer's done. If we pull it into even the text editor, is so simple. You can see here basically just Python, import OS, run dryer's done MP3. So now what we'll do is I'll basically just watch, and you should see a little bit of activity here once I increase the variable. So I'm going to increase the variable. You see it go, come on. See it go up here, and then I don't know if you saw that little flash. Just watch again as I do it. Basically, I'm just going to increment this to 1, and this one code did execute. It showed up really fast, but basically I can now click that, and I can do a Control C to copy, and then a Control V to paste, and that makes it an easy start. And then I double click in here, and well, let's just go back to here again. So front desk bell, basically just play dash bell, and then if it's 2, if it goes up to 2, then this one should run. So basically we're just going to watch. Is it this one? You'll see a little PID show up there or there depending on what's running. So I'm going to deploy this now that I've made some changes. Successfully deployed. Oops, sorry. And now I'm going to increment the variable. Try it again. There it goes. So that went to 1. Now I'm going to try going twice and kick it up to 2. There, you can see that PID kick in there. It did run, you just didn't hear it. Yep, there it goes. So basically I think we're good. Now I was going to show you the programming that I've done over here. Programming, basically I've just got in a folder here, I've created a program called set dryer done equals 1 or +1 it should say, because what I'm doing is incrementing that variable anytime this program gets run. So I can basically just go here and I can say run the then section, which runs this and increments that variable. That gets pushed over, and you can see the code being ran over here. So as long as that variable gets incremented, then it's going to show up on the ISY node red. Hopefully that gives you idea of how this all works.